Throughout the vast lands of Tamriel, there are many creatures, fearsome and harmless, fast and strong, fearless and fleeing, all manner of beast. Though as we adventure throughout these frontiers, we do tend to find the adaptable few, certain creatures that have been able to not only survive, but thrive in a variety of diverse habitats. Today, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to focus on one specific creature that seems to be one of the most versatile and hardy beasts a traveler may most unfortunately encounter. Welcome to Fudge Muppet, my name is Scott, and today let me tell you about the infamous group of monsters we call trolls. As a 12-year-old boy, I had encountered many trolls in the Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion, and due to the nature of the leveling system in that game, I was generally an appropriate power level to handle a troll whenever I faced one. So later when I played Skyrim for the first time, I was not planning to get utterly smoked by the frost troll that blocked my path to High Hrothgar. A few tries later, and with some abuse of the flame spell despite me being a warrior, and I finally got the job done. Trolls truly are fearsome enemies. These three-eyed, ape-like monsters have powerful arms to tear you in two and claws sharp enough to disembowel you with a single swipe before they sink their maws into your fallen guts like it's their favorite delicacy. But what truly makes trolls such a fear-inducing monstrosity is their unique regeneration abilities. You may be a valiant warrior clad head to toe in the finest steel, courageous and righteous, on a quest to kill the mighty troll that plagues nearby villages. You enter the beast's cave, certain of its presence when your nose is assailed by the foulest of stenches. There it is, hunched, grunting and devouring the farmer's son. This is your moment. If you defeat this troll, the companions will surely see your worth. You charge in, unleashing swift strikes of shimmering steel against the unprepared beast, covering it in gashing wounds. But in an opening, it throws the weight of its arms against you, pelting you off balance, tumbling towards the cave wall. It raises its arms in a terrible rage, its roars echoing, a terrifying sight, but not the scariest part. Suddenly, all the wounds you exhausted yourself delivering begin closing up, sealing themselves shut and scabbing over as if they were made weeks ago. For your hope, I hope you can deliver more damage faster, or run like you're born under the steed sign. If you're near water, dive in and swim for your life, because it is also known that trolls dislike it and do not swim, perhaps with the exceptions of certain types like river or swamp trolls. You see, trolls can regenerate themselves extremely quickly, which makes it so that their attacker must be able to finish them swiftly, if possible, because a prolonged fight will most certainly be at the troll's advantage. I could easily imagine this ability being a centerpiece of its combat encounters in the wild. If a troll were, say, in a fight with a saber-tooth or some other fearsome animal, if it can withstand the attacks and successfully regenerate fast enough, they may be able to draw the battle out until their opponent is exhausted, and then take advantage of the situation and turn the tables, killing what at first seemed the victor. There is, however, one way to nullify the effects of this powerful regeneration ability, and that is with fire. If exposed to fire, the troll's regeneration seemingly ceases to function, preventing them from healing and exposing them to death's door. It is for this reason battle mages or wizards armed with fire magic are some of the best suited to hunting down trolls, unless of course you are a warrior so great that you are able to end its life faster than it can regenerate. However, there have been some cases where a troll's regeneration has prevented their death entirely, no matter the wound. The only way to certainly kill them was to scorch their corpses, preventing the healing. This powerful regeneration would also make me speculate about the life cycle of a troll, and I would actually posit that trolls don't actually age, and that their powerful regeneration renews their cells and prevents them from aging, or at the very least, they experience very long lives because of it. This would explain why we have certain trolls, such as the Udefrykte, who have lived long enough to become a legend among the Skarl on Solstheim. Regardless, natural regeneration is one of the troll's most fearsome qualities, and this is surely part of the reason the beast is such an adaptable and robust creature that has managed to find itself a niche in every corner of Tamriel's natural landscape. Trolls can be found in many varieties, in many different environments: swamp trolls, river trolls, cave trolls, forest trolls, lowland trolls, and of course frost trolls too. There is generally some denomination of troll for every possible habitat in Tamriel. These types of trolls tend to differ in ways according to how they've adapted to the environment. For example, the frost trolls found in the high elevations of Skyrim's mountains are much hardier than their lowland cousins in Cyrodiil. The genealogy of trolls may even extend further to the tusked Graal of Solstheim, who are also known as ice trolls. Interestingly, they share the same regeneration abilities and weakness to fire as regular trolls, so I'd say that this connection is very plausible. While we are talking about Solstheim, I would also like to bring up the Udefrykte again. In the Third Era, during the events of the Blood Moon Prophecy, the Nerevarine was set upon a task to kill the beast. The Nord huntress Svenja Snowsong says, "The Udefrykte is a remorseless monster with a taste for human flesh. According to legend, he has been sealed within his lair for centuries. The entrance is on the shore of Lake Fjolding, but it is covered with ice. How could he have escaped? Why now? Wait. The strange fire on the lake. You must have seen it. I do not know what sorcery caused that fell flame, but it must have melted the ice. If this is true, the Udefrykte is free to walk the lands." Naturally, the Nerevarine hunted down this foul beast and met it in its icy lair and fought it in a mighty battle. A horrifying opponent it was, wielding a severed Nord leg as a club and possessing a unique immunity to fire, frost, shock, poison, and normal weapons. The Nerevarine used ingenuity to defeat the beast and gain vengeance for the Mead Hall massacre at Thirsk. Once this was thought to just be a monster unique to the Isle of Solstheim, however, as Svenja Snowsong would later find out, it was not the only one. At a small mountain camp set upon Dive Rock, northeast of Shadenhall, we can find Agnar's journal, which reveals a scarier truth. Entry 1. When I took on the role of Chieftain of Thirsk, when I accepted the beautiful Svenja Snowsong as my advisor and then my bride, I never imagined how quickly my life would change. I went to the Isle of Solstheim for some much needed rest, and found it in the mead-soaked halls of Thirsk. But when I met Svenja, my sweet Svenja, I became entangled in an epic story the likes of which I had only read about in the fables and children's tales. Svenja told me of the fateful night when a hideous creature known as the Udefrykte attacked the Mead Hall, killing rampantly, leaving her the only survivor. The creature was slain by a champion, and Thirsk had its new chieftain, but it wasn't long before they moved on to some new challenge, some new adventure. And that's where I entered the tale. Svenja Snowsong, with her ice blue eyes and flaxen hair, gained my love. Soon after, I became her husband and the Mead Hall's new chieftain. In truth, I had never been happier, but Svenja, my dear wife, existed in quiet misery, constantly haunted by the memory of the Udefrykte and the damage it had wrought on the Mead Hall and the people she had loved. Night after night, my dear woke up screaming, her face etched in horror, and a single word issuing from her lips: Udefrykte. I feared for my wife's sanity and happiness, but it was she who found a solution to her problem. As a warrior, she told me, she must confront her fear, she must defeat it. The Udefrykte was dead, yes, but where did it come from? Was it unique? Would more of these creatures come and wreak havoc once again? Would I, her loving husband, be killed? And so she corresponded with explorers and researchers all across Tamriel until she found the answer she had been looking for. The Udefrykte was in fact not unique, but the offspring of an ancient Udefrykte matron. In order to end the nightmares, in order to prevent any more destruction, we would need to hunt down and kill the Udefrykte matron, no matter where or how. Entry 2. By Izmir we've been searching and searching and searching some more, but finally it came, the lucky break we had been hoping for. The creature had been spotted by a shepherd in the remote highlands of Skyrim. Entry 3. We found its trail and tracked it for days, crossing the border into the Imperial Province. Here in the frigid mountains, we met with a local hunter who tried to warn us away from the area, citing an old legend about a deadly creature known as the Horror of Dive Rock, a monster credited with the slaying of over a dozen people and just as much cattle. Could this creature be the very Udefrykte matron we seek? Perhaps, unlike its child on Solstheim, the matron moves from location to location, and it is this mobility that has thus far prevented its killing or capture. Entry 4. We have made camp at Dive Rock, reportedly the highest natural observation point in all of Cyrodiil. From here we can see for miles, so we'll keep watch, night and day. We're close, so very close. Svenja and I can feel it in our very bones. Indeed, Svenja has always been particularly in tune with such things, and is convinced the Udefrykte matron is close. Entry 5. Svenja has grown tired of my constant writing, but this journal will serve as a record of our travels and defeat against the Udefrykte. She's staring at me angrily, impatiently right now as I write, but this entry is too important. Finally, on this third day of watching, we've spotted it, the Udefrykte matron. It's unlike anything we've laid our eyes on, a giant troll-like beast that seems to waver and shimmer in the cold, like the feral form of winter itself. We're off now to trudge down the mountain, weapons in hand, and give the horror of Dive Rock its due. Entry 6. Failure and horror. We engaged the monster with all the force we could muster, but it was a travesty beyond comprehension. Svenja, my beautiful Svenja, my dear wife was killed instantly, consumed by the beast nearly whole, and though it shames me now to write these words, I could think of nothing more at the time than escape. I took flight, returning here to our camp on Dive Rock to collect my thoughts and nerve. I haven't much time. After this quick entry, I will march out and meet the Udefrykte matron once more. It is sure to track me back to this campsite anyway, so our confrontation is inevitable. Can I hope to defeat this monstrosity? One thing is certain, Svenja and I came hastily unprepared. My steel axe? Useless. My dear wife's frostworm bow? Completely ineffective and swallowed whole, still in Svenja's hand. The beast appears to be a creature of the cold and is likely nearly completely resistant to it. I would attack with fire if I had any on hand, but there is no time. No time to travel to a mage's guild and procure an enchanted blade or hire the services of a sorcerer. My steel axe will have to do, and so I return to battle now and hope beyond hope that I may slay the wretched monster that has brought so much grief to so many people. And if not, I take comfort in knowing that I will soon rejoin my beautiful bride in the gilded halls of Sovngarde. If someone is reading this hastily written journal, I am likely dead, and pray to Ysmir that you have more luck against the creature than I. The champion of Cyrodiil would be the one to find the horror of Dive Rock and put an end to it, and I wonder now if with the matron's death, if no more Udefrykte trolls will be born. Though we do have a certain case of such a familiar beast. 201 years later in the Fourth Era, in the Ice Cave portion of the Dark Brotherhood Dawnstar Sanctuary, one can find a green-eyed troll called Udefrykte. There is nothing really said or written about this particular creature, other than Cicero's vague allusion to it as he is chased by the listener through the Ice Cave. Chilly. You'll enjoy this. Not an original part of the Sanctuary per se, let's call it a forced addition. Forced by what? Oh, come and see. All we can really do here is speculate, but with the matron dead 200 years ago, I think it's likely that this creature is centuries old, like the Udefrykte found on Solstheim, and perhaps there are others of her offspring spread throughout the mountainous north of Tamriel. Perhaps one day we will find out. Fun fact, if you were wondering about the interesting name, in Norwegian, Udir means monster or beast, and Frykte means to fear. So Udefrykte more or less translates to monster to fear, which, as we know quite well, is very true. Now let's get back to the discussion of trolls more broadly, because it would seem that there is something to them beyond just ravenous beasts. There is evidence for some degree of social organization beyond that of just an animal pack. They have been seen organizing themselves into clans, like a tribal structure. For example, there is the Azclan Trolls, which have primarily made their home out of a large Aelid ruin called Veyond, and there is also an example of a clan called Kalpa Clan, which are a group of trolls who seemingly have an obsession with collecting calipers, a rather quirky behavior, but I suppose other intelligent animals have been known to collect things. Another feature of the troll that indicates a higher degree of intelligence, perhaps akin to that of a dog or an ape, is their ability to be tamed and instructed. The Dawn Guard in particular have been known to train these trolls as war beasts to fight against the vampire menace. The trolls are actually armored, making these already tough beasts who can regenerate wounds even more sturdy because now they have helmets and shoulder pieces to prevent them from any potential instant deaths by decapitation or potential strikes that would sever their arms, rendering them defenseless. To top it off, armored trolls have blades mounted on their arms, so their wild backhand strikes are now more likely to lop your leg off instead of tossing you across a cave. Despite them being tamed beasts that can be commanded by their handlers, trolls do not seem to bear any intelligence resembling that of Tamriel's many advanced races, with one tiny exception. You see, while travelling through southern Cyrodiil, you may come across a bridge, and underneath is a dead troll with this poorly scrawled note that says, "Me worst troll ever. Nobody pay bridge toll. Me not scary enough. Me get drunk and kill self. Troll drown." What this appears to be is a suicide note written poorly by this troll who was attempting to run a bridge toll, but when nobody pays, he got drunk and drowned himself in the water below. Now, if we were to take this as strict law, this indicates that A, this troll was smart enough to learn some degree of language and possess some literacy, B, this troll can actually conceptualize and understand what a bridge toll is, and C, knows alcohol gets you drunk, and this troll has a concept of failure and suicide. It could be that this troll is an absolute freak of nature. It could also, and far more likely, be an example of a fun Easter egg in Oblivion, which references the fairy tale Three Billy Goats Gruff about a troll who lives under a bridge. Personally, I would not take this piece of info all that seriously. I wouldn't say this is indisputable proof that trolls are actually as intelligent as, say, a low intelligence man or elf. You can do what you will with this info. But on that last fun note, ladies and gentlemen, that is everything I wanted to talk about today in regards to trolls. There is plenty of interesting speculation to be had, and when you write about these beasts from a lore perspective, they are made truly terrifying with their regeneration abilities. I hope you enjoyed. Give the video a like. Thanks so much for watching. My name is Scott from Fudge Muppet, and I'll be back to nerd out with you again next time.